During this segment, we're going to explore being strategic. What does being strategic actually mean? How do you do it? And what are some key takeaways that you can apply straight away? So what does being strategic mean? To me, and I've been coaching executives and leaders for over 20 years, I see over and over leaders who've been promoted because they're technically good at something, getting bogged down in the day-to-day, going around putting out fires, fixing other people's problems, saying yes to everything, and basically managing to get through the day, through the week, and through the business period. Now, that's useful, it's valid, and it works. It's not being strategic though. Being strategic is about slowing down enough to start to see what's actually going on. Ronald Heifetz from Harvard University famously coined the idea of getting onto the balcony. Now, in Heifetz's metaphor, the assumption is if you can get onto the balcony, even though you're on the dance floor as well, but you can start to get a perspective and see what's happening on the dance floor. So, Ronald Heifetz was brilliant at talking about the difference between technical excellence and adaptive leadership. So I strongly recommend that you get on board and read Ronald Heifetz's work, look up technical versus adaptive. Why is it important to be strategic during times like these? If you've set a purpose and vision, you now need to be involved with the strategy for achieving that. Know that when people look at you, they'll be reading how confidently you are standing in the strategy and how purposeful and strategic you are in achieving the vision. If you're wishy-washy and not that solid about it, they'll read that and you won't achieve it. So here's some considerations to make when establishing your strategic approach to achieving the purpose and vision. Number one, get really clear about what it is you want to achieve and how you're going to communicate that. Also reflect on why do you want to achieve this? All adults in a workplace need to understand the why. If you don't have a clear articulation of the why, they'll make up all sorts of other things. So knowing why and being able to communicate it is a key ability of the modern leader and will allow people to really buy into it. The third thing to consider when setting this strategy, what's the intended consequence? If it's altruistic and if it's in service of the clients, if it's in service of the community, if it's in service of the team, if it's in service of the shareholder, if it's in service of something other than your role, your intended consequence is a really valid thread that will hold the whole thing together. If your strategy is to make more money, to get another title, or to be magnificent, you'll find your strategy will fall over because your self-interest will overwhelm your good intention. So that's intended consequence. Another really important consideration is what are potentially the unintended consequences. Always when you go after something, your action will create or move you towards the intended consequence, but the amazing thing is it also has lots of other unintended consequences. So slow down and be curious about those. Ask your team about those and listen for them. If your intended consequence is altruistic in service of others, you will experience a bounty of new unintended consequences that will foster goodwill, that will foster trust, and that will foster the whole approach. And this will accelerate you towards the vision and purpose. Another really important thing, it's been inferred throughout these previous comments, is who do you involve? Be strategic about that. There's always 10 to 30% of people in a team, in a business, that are naturally interested in moving towards something great. The data on adult development, which we'll explore in another clip, shows us explicitly that 70% of people aren't. 70% of people are fear-driven and they have an immunity to change. Their primary inherent strategy is to keep things the same. So don't go and try and sell the vision and strategy to them. Goes to the 10 to 30% of people who are naturally interested, they're naturally positive, they're naturally passionate, they're naturally enthusiastic, and they trust themselves and they're interested in creating something great together. So that's an important consideration. Be strategic about the relationships you're influencing. So that's the piece on being strategic. Please enjoy working with that. My question that stands for you right now is, what are you going to do next? What's the first step?